The red dust clung to everything, from the treads of the rover to the lenses of Dr. Elias Crane's glasses. Olympus Mons loomed like a rusted god in the distance, and beneath it, the dig site thrummed with quiet tension. 6 weeks into the Martian excavation, the mission had gone from boring to bizarre in record time. Elias was tired. Tired of bureaucracy. Tired of trying to convince people that dead rocks mattered. And tired of the so-called statue lying at the heart of the ancient chamber they'd unearthed. It stood upright, nearly 9 feet tall, carved from a dark, obsidian-like metal. Humanoid in shape, feminine in form, and disturbingly detailed, down to the flowing robes and closed eyelids, as though the thing were peacefully dreaming. No seams, no tools, no writing. And yet it hummed, not audibly, but his bones could feel it. "Crane," someone called over the comms. The scans came back. No heat signatures, no tech interface. Just inert alloy. He rolled his eyes. "Yeah? Then why does it give me nightmares?" The other archaeologists treated it like a museum piece. Elias treated it like a warning. But with funding tight and pressure mounting, EarthGov wanted results or relics. It didn't help that the younger crew kept calling it the alien goddess. A prankster even put a Martian daisy behind its ear one morning. Morale was slipping. And then came the bet. Elias was halfway through cataloging mineral shards when Ensign Patel nudged him with an elbow. 50 credits says you won't kiss it on stream." Elias raised a brow. "You want me to kiss the mysterious, ancient alien artifact in front of mission control? Come on, for science." He shouldn't have done it. He knew he shouldn't have. But Mars was lonely, dusty, and cruelly dull. He stood before the statue, wiped his mouth with theatrical flair, and grinned at the camera drone. "Here's to first contact," he muttered. Then he leaned forward and pressed a quick, mocking kiss to the statue's metallic lips. The world didn't end. At first. Then the temperature dropped. The lights flickered, and the statue's eyes opened. 2 crystal blue irises, glowing from within like twin suns behind ice, locked onto Elias. Everyone froze. Mouths open. Tools clattered to the ground. The statue, no, the being, took its first breath in 1,000 years. Human, it whispered. Its voice was metallic, melodic, like a song played backwards through glass. Elias stumbled back. "What the hell? You have activated the seal," it said. "Seal. The lock has been broken. The architects have heard. Your species is doomed." Then it went still. No movement. No speech. Eyes open and watching, but silent again. Elias's comm exploded with voices. "Is it alive? Did it just talk? What the hell did you do?" They quarantined the site within the hour. Command rerouted orbiters. A containment team landed 2 days later. The Warden, as she was now called, refused all communication. No scans could penetrate her surface. She did not move, did not eat, did not breathe. But her eyes never closed again. And Elias? He spent his nights staring at the walls of the quarantine tent, replaying her words in his head. "You've doomed your species." He tried to laugh it off, told himself it was just ancient programming, a leftover warning from a paranoid civilization. But every night, the hum got louder. The stars seemed a little closer. And in his dreams, he saw something vast moving in the void, something that had just been waiting for a signal. It wasn't a kiss. It was a key, and he just turned it. They moved Elias off Mars within 24 hours. Quarantine protocols, psychological evaluations, threat assessments. 1 minute, he was an archaeologist making sarcastic live streams for bored scientists back home. The next, he was sitting in a black glass room on Lunar Base Theta under the full scrutiny of EarthGov intelligence. A woman in a severe blue uniform sat across from him, tablet in hand. Director Ilana Reeves. Not a smiler. "You touched an alien artifact," she said. "It activated. You kissed it." "Why?" "I was bored," Elias muttered, staring at the gray table. "It was a joke. You joke often with ancient technology. I joke often with statues that hum like they're dreaming about planetary extinction." "Yeah." Reeves didn't laugh. Instead, she turned the tablet toward him and tapped the screen. A holographic projection rose. A spiral wave transmission had been released from Mars within 2 seconds of the kiss. The signal had burst through the Martian ionosphere, passed undetected by planetary defense nets, and vanished beyond the edge of the solar system. It was aimed toward interstellar coordinates. Uncharted space. What is it? Elias asked, throat dry. A beacon, she said. A very, very old one. Before he could respond, the door slid open. A man entered. A xenospecialist by the look of his robe. Gray skin. Tall. 4 fingers. Not human. You're bringing in an alien? Elias said, sitting up. Now. This is Velayar of the Centauri Union, Reeves replied. His species once encountered similar constructs in another system. 800 years ago. They failed to stop what followed. Velayar stepped forward. The one you awakened is called a Warden, he said. A biomechanical gatekeeper. A failsafe designed to suppress attention. Until you broke the lock. Elias swallowed. And now, she cannot hold the architects back anymore. He leaned in. Who are they? Velayar hesitated. They're not conquerors. They are cleaners. They believe sentience is a contagion. Their solution is elegant. Erase the mind. Leave the body. Harvest the data. And rebuild in silence. A silence fell over the room. Reeves's voice dropped. The signal is confirmation. They now know about humanity. Okay, Elias said, standing. So what's the plan? Hide Earth behind a bigger rock. Hope they forget we exist. You misunderstand, Velayar said. They never forget. They only sleep. You've awakened them. Elias turned to the projection. The spiral wave rotated slowly, pulsing. Each second, it grew fainter, traveling farther. So we're just done? Not necessarily, Reeves said, tapping another file. Our deep space outpost at Kuiper Theta picked up a return pulse. It's not just a signal. It's a handshake. They're answering. A countdown clock appeared next to the data. Estimated arrival, 12 months. Elias blinked. You're telling me I summoned death machines from across the galaxy, and they RSVP'd? Reeves didn't blink. We've assembled a response fleet. You're going with them. Excuse me. You're genetically entangled with the Warden. You woke her. She's chosen you. She refuses to speak to anyone else. Elias stared at the blinking red countdown. 1 year. 1 year before something not of this universe arrived to erase humanity like an accidental sketch. Great, he muttered. This is all because of a joke. Reeves sighed. The universe has a sense of humor, Dr. Crane. You just gave it a punchline. The UESS Vindicator was the most advanced warship in EarthGov's fleet. Its core powered by a zero-point drive, its hull reinforced with alien alloys borrowed from Earth's allies. But none of that impressed Elias, as much as the being seated in the containment pod aboard its bridge. Xeria, the Warden. She had not moved since leaving Mars. But now, in orbit above Neptune, she spoke again. You approached the threshold, she said, her voice echoing in the minds of the crew. Elias stepped forward, helmet under one arm. You said I'd doom my species. I'd like to undoom them, if possible. She turned her gaze to him. That depends on what remains of your chaos. My what? The lock was sealed against machines of pure logic, creatures of calculation. But your kind is irrational. You act without reason. That is both your weakness and your only hope. So you need me to be unpredictable? I need you to be human, Elias Crane. In every maddening, impossible, foolish way. Outside the viewport, a wormhole began to open. The architects had heard the call, and they were coming. The wormhole shimmered like a wound in space, spinning strands of frozen light tearing open above the Neptune perimeter. The UESS Vindicator hovered at the edge of the breach, flanked by 6 escort ships from EarthGov and 2 vessels from the Centauri Union. None of them had ever seen anything like this. Reading gravimetric distortion, said Lieutenant Hahn, her hands dancing over the console. Signal echo returning weight. Multiple echoes. At least 3, no, 5 objects inbound. Elias Crane stood behind the bridge crew, helmet clutched in his shaking hands. His throat felt dry, his palms slick. His brain kept trying to tell him this was some elaborate prank, that he wasn't about to face ancient universe-devouring AI gods because he'd kissed a statue on Mars. But the wormhole didn't blink, and neither did Xeria, who now floated freely in zero-G beside him, her body glowing with strands of alien light, hair like drifting silver wires. "The architects are coming," she said, voice calm, like she was announcing a light drizzle. "Prepare to confront perfection." The first object emerged from the wormhole. It wasn't a ship. It was a shape, a black geometric horror of shifting cubes and spinning rings, its surfaces etched with glowing glyphs that updated in real time, as if it were rewriting itself every moment it existed. "Oh my God," Han whispered. "It's rewriting local physics." A second vessel emerged, then a third. "8 in total," said Commander Reyes. "Formation dispersing. Scanning us." "No weapons raised," said Tactical. "They're just watching." "That's what they do," Xeria whispered. "They study first, then they correct." Elias moved closer to her. "Correct how?" "They erase variance, remove uncertainty. They believe the universe functions best without chaos. Emotion, desire, dream." A chime echoed through the bridge. The comm screen flickered, then filled with static symbols, translating midstream into crude English characters. "Humanity acknowledged. Infection confirmed. Resolution begins." "Resolution?" Elias muttered. "That doesn't sound very diplomatic." A low hum vibrated through the ship, then deeper into their minds. Crew members grabbed their heads. Lights dimmed. The ship's AI, Helix, stuttered mid-sentence. Elias saw his console glitch, then resolve into memories. His mother's voice, the smell of his childhood room, a first kiss on a rainy roof. They were in his mind. "They're mining us," Xeria said grimly. "Harvesting identity, turning your lives into math." Elias grit his teeth. "We need to hit them back." "With what?" Reyes barked. "Our weapons won't scratch them. We tried before. They dissolved a planet in the Alaris system using a logic pulse." "Exactly," Elias said, his eyes lighting up. "They use logic, right? They depend on patterns, rules, predictable systems." Reyes frowned. "And?" Elias turned to Xeria. "You said we're chaotic, unpredictable, irrational. Humans cannot be modeled by architect systems. Your impulses corrupt their consensus. But you cannot weaponize that." Elias grinned. "Want to bet?" 10 hours later, the boarding shuttle launched. It held no bombs, no plasma rifles, just Elias, a backpack full of memory drives, and a portable quantum signal disruptor. As he floated toward the architect vessel, an obsidian cathedral of shifting logic, he muttered to himself, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever done." And I kissed an alien statue. The boarding tube connected. A silent lock clicked. The interior of the architect's ship was dead silent. The air smelled sterile. The walls breathed softly, alive, aware. The ship didn't need guards. It didn't expect invaders. It expected resolution. Elias knelt at a central node, a glowing crystal spinning equations in the air. He pulled the first memory drive and jammed it into the system. A cat video played, then a Shakespeare monologue, then 30 minutes of human children trying to explain metaphors while giggling. The architect core pulsed, hesitating. Elias uploaded more. Chaotic memes, sarcastic rants, rage cooking, a man crying over his divorce while carving with ducks. It wasn't just nonsense. It was humanity, unfiltered, ugly, beautiful, unreasonable. Elias hit upload on the final file, a recursive stream of 20 humans talking about love, and not one of them agreeing on what it meant. The architect core screamed, not audibly, but in raw frequency. Data surged. Walls trembled. Symbols collapsed. The glyphs flickered red. They were breaking. Too much variance. Too much paradox. They couldn't model it. From the Vindicator, Reyes watched as 3 of the architect vessels fractured, their geometries shattering, unable to contain the entropy. Back aboard the ship, Elias smiled and whispered, "Chew on that, perfection." The architect vessel fractured around Elias like a collapsing dream. One moment, he was kneeling in its cold, logic-woven corridor, surrounded by smooth black surfaces etched in glowing symbols. The next, those symbols flickered red, then white-hot, and exploded into a maelstrom of collapsing geometry and dissonant frequencies. Human chaos had worked. The ship couldn't process it, couldn't contain it, couldn't survive it. But Elias had stayed too long. Reality warped. The hallway elongated like taffy, folding in impossible directions. Gravity wobbled, reasserted, vanished. His comm crackled. "Crane, Elias, you have to get out of there," came Commander Reyes' voice. "The entire structure is destabilizing." "I'm trying," he grunted, pulling himself down a corridor that kept changing orientation. "The laws of physics are on a coffee break." Xeria's voice echoed in his mind. More urgent now, sharper. "You must leave. The disruption is spreading. They are rewriting the collapse. You will be rewritten with them." But as Elias reached the airlock, a shape emerged from the wall ahead. A figure, perfectly humanoid. Blank face. No eyes. No mouth. It didn't move. Didn't need to. It was the architect's last defense. The consensus form. The collective will of the ship. Elias backed up. "Yeah, okay. You're terrifying. But you missed the point." He pulled a final memory drive from his chest pocket, handwritten label, Chaos, Greatest Hits, and slammed it into the wall node. Screaming bagpipes. Unrehearsed wedding speeches. A toddler screaming "Inno" for 3 minutes straight. 1,000 clips of humans breaking down over heartbreak, success, and pets they didn't deserve. The consensus form twitched, staggered, then shattered, like a mirror struck by laughter. Outside, aboard the USS Vindicator, Reyes watched as 3 more architect vessels convulsed and collapsed into themselves, imploding into digital static. The wormhole began to destabilize, its once perfect symmetry fracturing into swirling madness. "They're breaking formation," shouted Tactical. "Signal decay detected," yelled Han. "Their consensus is corrupted." From the far corner of the bridge, Xeria opened her eyes wide. The paradox is working, but one vessel remained. Larger, older, the prime architect, the source of a network. Its shape didn't crack or flicker. It simply watched, until it spoke. Through every ship, every screen, every mind. "You are incompatible. You are noise. You are..." It paused. "Interesting." Xeria froze. "They're adapting." Elias's voice came through on the bridge audio. "Then we don't give them time." He was still inside. "Crane, aboard!" Reyes shouted. "We got clearance. We can fire the entropy payload now." But Elias didn't respond. Back inside the dying ship, Elias reached the central core. It pulsed like a black sun, surrounded by spinning rings of data, layered algorithms running in constant rewrite. He stood on trembling legs, staring at the endless machine that once judged itself a god. He didn't hesitate. He pressed the entropy trigger. The drive activated. A cascade of uncontrolled thought, contradiction, emotion, and instinct poured into the core. A virus made of dreams. The architect prime screamed, not in anger, but in confusion. Its perfect algorithms failed. Its logic fragmented. Its systems began interpreting everything, every breath, every laugh, every failure, as potential, as chaos, as freedom, and that the architects could never allow. Elias smiled. "You wanted to lead us? You should have never let us speak." Light erupted behind his eyes. And then, silence. 2 weeks later, Earth orbit. The architect vessels were gone. The wormhole sealed, and the stars were silent again. Humanity, for once, wasn't. The name Elias Crane echoed across every network, etched into every wall, replayed on every frequency. The man who had kissed a statue and defied a god. But there was no body, only the final transmission. "Chaos is the cure," he had said, smiling into the void. The last thing Xeria ever saw of him. Now, deep beneath Mars, the temple trembled once more. Dust sifted down from above. A faint hum pulsed. Another statue, eyes still closed. For now.